What is up, family? It's your boy D coming right back at you with another one. Right now we're back in the lab and an unboxing is on the menu. So, what do we have here? This right here is the Skar SDR-12. This is a dual 2-ohm configuration of this subwoofer. It also comes in a dual 4-ohm configuration. And the reason why I'm going to be looking into this Skar SDR subwoofer is because I'm looking for something for my car audio application. As some of you guys who's been following the channel knows, I recently had a subwoofer inside of the car that was a bit too much for the car to handle. It was a very powerful subwoofer. That subwoofer being the Peerless by Timpani STW350, that is. And that subwoofer is a massively constructed subwoofer, and it was just a bit too much for the car's interior. It was pretty much shaking everything apart despite sound deadening and things of that nature. So what I did was, or what I am doing now, is researching other replacements for that subwoofer that's going to be a little bit more friendly to the construction of my vehicle. So I chose 2 different applications, this being the first one. I have a second unboxing coming for you guys later on, but as of right now, we're going to be introducing the Skar SDR-12 Dual 2 configuration. If I can find my opener, and here we are. Had it in my pocket the whole time. Put this down, open this guy up. Nothing fancy, it's a box opener. Or a box cutter, some would say. The reason why I chose to go with Skar is because I've had luck with Skar in the past. I do not want to cut off until... I always be afraid of opening boxes with subwoofers in it because sometimes the subwoofer is packaged pretty good and sometimes it is not. I'm not saying Skar don't pack their stuff nicely, but what I'm saying is if they don't have a protective covering on top of the speaker and you just go into it with this thing can go in, what, almost 2 inches deep. You understand what I'm saying? You can actually slice the cone of your subwoofer. But Skar usually have a box inside of a box, so I'm kind of looking for that, and there it is. They stuck to the tradition of having a box inside of a box. So you got this black box inside of this box. So I'm going to have to flip this thing out to get a better view of things. Let me cut me let me let some air in here. That suction makes it very hard using this method. And there you go. A little bit easier to come off. Of course, now it's upside down, so you have to flip it back over. And if you guys are wondering about the SDR, of course, if you're watching this, you probably are looking into the Skar products, and you're probably specifically looking into the SDR series. This is the 12-inch, like I said. It's rated at 600 watts RMS. Of course, everyone knows at this point, Skar underrates every product that they have, which is a good thing. I'm not going to say it's a good thing. It's better than overrating your products, okay? They have now gotten accustomed to, as of the date of this video, they have gotten into actually placing the RMS rating and the max rating on their website of the subwoofers. They used to didn't do that. But anyway, just to be honest with you, I want to say most of Skar max ratings of their subwoofer is very much closer to what the RMS is of them. And they ain't paying me to say that. I've had one in the past that was rated at 600 watts, which is why I went with this one. And that thing, I've seen people throw 1,000 watts RMS on it all day and those things didn't blow. So, yeah, Skar usually have a pretty good product. Starting out, I heard they had a bad rep. They had a couple issues with the material that they was actually using for the subwoofers, and I think they had like issues with like dust caps flying off, things of that nature. But now, from everything I've seen from Skar, I shopped with them. First time I bought something from them was back in 2013, I want to say 13 or 14. I got the VVX12 version 2. It recently blowed on me because of my era. I actually had it in a 6-order bandpass enclosure. And the thing about putting any driver inside of a bandpass enclosure, whereas you can't monitor it, you can't see it, you run the risk of overpowering it and it exceeding its Xmax rating and pretty much bottoming out and destroying itself. And I think that's pretty much what happened with me. I had it in a 6-order bandpass, and I reconfigured the 6-order bandpass from a slot port design to an arrow port design, and the arrow ports was much bigger. It was much more port area than the slot design. And of course, if you have more port area, that's less pressure that builds up and can constrain the cone from moving freely so much. So once you do that, a lot of port area, of course, the cone is allowed to move more freely, and you're more likely to run a chance of bottoming your sub out. But I didn't mean to make this a whole video about the previous subwoofer, but that's the reason why I'm getting a new Skar product, is because I pretty much misused the other one. But overall, great product. I wish I never would have done that, and I went back with Skar to give Skar another chance as a budget option for my trunk build. This subwoofer was only $100. I picked it up over at Amazon. I could have bought it direct from Skar. It's the same price, but Amazon have a great return policy, in case I don't. Not saying that Skar themselves don't. I never had to return anything from them, so I don't know. But I do know Amazon, so bird in the bush versus bird in the hand, right? So I went with Amazon, the Amazon option. I got it in 2 days, and here it is. I'm about to open it up for you guys. Again, this is a 2.5-inch voice coil. Rms rating is 600 watts. It's a dual 2-ohm voice coil configuration, meaning that you can wire this down to a 1 ohm, or you can wire it up to 4 ohms. So basically, I have an amplifier that is 1 ohm stable, but I'm not going to be running this at 1 ohm because my amplifier at 1 ohm actually puts out 2,000 watts, and I'm not going to be putting 2,000 watts through this subwoofer. What I am going to be doing is wiring it up to 4 ohms and be putting in about 800 watts through it to see how it performs like that. It says that it has a frequency response range from 32 to 300 hertz, and it has a ferrite magnet. This is not, the Neo. This is not a Neo magnet inside of here. But enough of me talking. Let me go ahead and get this thing opened up. And for you guys that want to see like what the box look like, that's what the sides of it look like, and pretty much a mirror image over here of the other side. And there you go, Skar SDR-12 dual 2 ohms box. So let's get this open. The VVX12, and another thing I wanted to point out while I'm getting this thing open is that the reason why I consider this a budget subwoofer is because according to the build quality of this is really not a budget subwoofer, but the price point is what makes it a budget subwoofer. That's another thing about Skar, is that they're reasonably priced, man, if you look at it compared to other manufacturers. So opening up the box, I can see we have a user manual, and this here actually indicates that it has an 8, 10, 12, 15, and an 18 inch configuration for this subwoofer, so you can get them in all those different sizes. And as you can see, you can get all those different sizes in both dual 2 and dual 4 ohm configurations. On the inside, you have some general data here. You have the overall dimensions, nominal power handling, transit power, things of that nature, some TS parameters. You guys can go on the website and see this stuff as well. So this is pretty handy when you're plugging. If you're gonna use like a piece of software to like build boxes and configure your enclosures, this would be very handy. You also get a Skar sticker right here. I never used my Skar sticker from previous. I'm gonna show it to you. I still have. This is a Skar sticker I got like 5 years ago. I still got it. I never use it, and I'm gonna tell you why I never use it. I never used it because I always thought, you know, to put this on my vehicle. I wanted to put it on my vehicle, but then I was like, well, that was just let people know what I got, that I actually have a system in there, and I just wanted to like not entice anyone, right, to go in there and take my stuff. So I never did use this. But of course, you can hang these around your office, in your man cave, in your garage, or whatever. You know, it don't necessarily have to go on your car, but you get a sticker. Opening this up. I like this. I don't think I didn't get this in 2014 or whenever that was. They didn't put this on here. So this is very thoughtful of them to put this over the cone of the woofer, even though the woofer cone is actually covered in plastic anyway. They took the time to do this and put this packaging, this foam packaging on there. I think that's pretty stand up of them. I like that. Moving on, you do have this in plastic. I'm gonna need 2 hands to get this out of here. And the box actually looks pretty nice in there. It kind of gives you an idea of what your bracing should look like when you build your enclosure, right? And you can actually use like these cutouts and stuff. You can actually use that as a template for doing your cutouts and stuff on your enclosures. I'm gonna be keeping this. If I decide to keep this here, I'm gonna keep this just for that future purpose. And here it is. Get it out of the bag. The bag is usually open somewhere. Here it is. And there it is. You know what, guys? Right now, I'm really getting some flashbacks on the VVX I had. I really am getting some flashbacks on the VVX. As a matter of fact, I got it sitting right off to the side here. Let me go grab it. That's the VVX version 2 right here. I know you guys have, if you guys want to know a little bit more about this, I did an unboxing on this about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. So go ahead and check that video out if you want to. But we're still going to give it a once over because it looked very similar to me. The cone of this is going to look a lot different because I live in a very humid climate. And what I did, I actually sprayed some clear coat of plastic dip on the cone of the woofer to keep it from disintegrating. Not saying that it wasn't already protected, but that's just what I did to mine. It's not going to hurt the performance of the woofer, but if it looks a little bit different from like the other speakers or whatever, or any other VVX version 2 that you've seen, is because I did that. The lettering on the dust cap is not even white originally. I painted that. Okay? So there's just an explanation for all the guys who's looking like, well, it doesn't look like a VVX version 2. It is. Okay. Well, one thing I can tell you about the differences between these two, this one is a lot heavier. It's a lot heavier because you can see the motor is a bit larger on it as well. So that is one big explanation as to why it's a lot heavier. So I'm gonna try to zoom in just a bit for you guys. So let me zoom out just a little bit. Try to get them both. All right, there we go. So, and excuse me, if I sound funny, guys, my sinuses are kicking my butt right now. But I'm gonna push through this. So this one actually has a very much larger motor than this one right here. And the motor on this thing was one of the main selling points for me even getting it, because when I seen the stats of it, and these are discontinued, by the way. These are discontinued, and it's a reason why I'm showing this during an unboxing of this one. Okay, it's a reason for that, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. But first, let me try to get the boot off of this, which is always stuck because it has a lip on the top and bottom, and it has a bit of glue. Even though it's old glue, it still does its job. If I can get that lip, there we go. All right, now that the boot is off of it, as you guys can see, that's 3 slugs on there. Okay? This one here has 3 slugs. That was a major selling point for me when I decided to purchase this subwoofer. Because this subwoofer only cost me like $110 back in the day. And I was like, wow, $110, I'm getting a whole lot for $110. I was actually torn in between this one and an audio pipe. Audio pipe actually has a subwoofer, 12-inch subwoofer with dual slugs on it. I forget the name of them, but I was torn in between that and the Skar. But the Skar, they had a video displaying what this thing can do, and I just had to have it. Now, if you go look over here to the SDR, right? So why did I break this out during an unboxing of this one? The reason I broke this one out is because during that time, this was Skar's budget piece, right? It was like the mid-tier of the Skar products. I don't even remember seeing an SDR. I'm not saying that they didn't have SDR then, but I don't remember seeing an SDR option back in the day. Now that may not be correct, or maybe I just overlooked it, but they have recently introduced. In my mind, I have recently been introduced to the SDR, and I'm like, well, this kind of reminds me a little bit of this one right here, and they even have similar ratings. The Xmax rating is the same, the power handling rating is the same, and they kind of look similar on the cones, not so much as the magnet pieces, but the cones do look similar. So I'm like, well, I may as well go with this right here. It was either this or another VVX, which would be a version 3, because these version 2s are discontinued. And just being honest with you, cosmetically looking at the version 2, in my opinion, they look better. To me, it looked like they were put out a little bit more than the version 3s. But, you know, you never can just go by looks, because you also have to look at the material that the subwoofer is made out of. And when I say material, I ain't talking just basket and magnet. I'm talking about the material that the spider is made out of, what adhesives they're using on the coils, how big are the tensile leads, are they woven into the spider, things of that nature. Is it a stitched surround? If it is a stitched surround, is it single stitch, double stitch? You know, how much adhesive did they use securing the spider? How much adhesive did they use configuring the surround? You know, it's a lot of things to take into play other than, you know, oh, it just looks better, you know, how much venting it has, you know, things of that nature. But anyway, looking at the SDR, it looks like, to me, they didn't spend a whole lot of time or a lot of effort on the cosmetics of the SDR. I think the SDR was meant to be what I purchased it for, or the reason that I purchased it, which is a budget subwoofer. And it is their mid-tier. Skar actually have about 11 products or different categories to choose from. They have 2 categories which only offer a single application. That's their most expensive application in it. And then they have, I think, the MA application, which is only offered in a 6.5, I believe, inch subwoofer, a little beastie 6.5, as a matter of fact. But anyway, I call this mid-tier is because the reason why I call this mid-tier is because out of the 11 products that they have, if you're talking price point, you have the SDR category and the VVX category being 5 and 6 respectively. SDR being the 5th in line and VVX being the 6th in line. So that is roughly in the middle of what it is that they have to offer. And that's why I call this their mid-tier, the SDR being a part of their mid-tier lineup. But I'm hoping that they have I'm hoping that it does exactly what they say it's supposed to do. Because from what I've gotten out of it, or what I've seen from it being demoed, it's supposed to be a great subwoofer. But enough of me yapping. Let's get into the specs of it. And to clear some things up, the MA series from Skar is actually an 8-inch subwoofer and not a 6.5-inch subwoofer. So going back to this subwoofer in particular, this is the 12, and they actually offer this in a loaded enclosure application as well, in case you guys are interested in that. And again, Skar's not paying me to say all this stuff. I'm just bringing it to you guys in the manner in which I actually went about shopping for it, right? So let's go and give the subwoofer a once over. I'm gonna try to get the camera just a little bit closer for you guys. Just a little bit closer, and there we go. So as you guys can see, you got plenty of venting on the rear right here. You have about 8 holes plus a large centerpiece hole right here in the middle of the motor. Of course, this is a dual 2-ohm. I know you guys are probably tired of hearing me say that at the moment, but I'm gonna get this off the tripod, because I see now I'm going to have to get closer on this for you guys. So I'm going to get this off the tripod. And let's get down up into this so you guys can see a bit of what's going on. So getting off into it, you can see that that's the spider in there. They got that traditional red spider inside of there. This is a sling. I actually thought at first that this was a boot on here, but this is not a boot. This is actually a large single slug application.